We could talk for hours and hours about
Talk
this.
about it for hours.
I think just for today's episode,
You're getting me extremely hard right now.
Let's just talk about.
You don't believe in no fate. Every day digging the grave. Stepping up to
Not where it's sitting here, episode 2. Night City Wire. Sorry, I'm saying.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Night City Wire.
Thank you for having me.
This is a show from us at CD Projekt Red, where we talk about all things Cyberpunk 2077. In today's episode, we're going to be deep diving into life paths and showing you a brand new gameplay video, as well as having a chat to Philip from our quest team. Then we're going behind the scenes and taking a look at how Refused to bringing the band Samurai to life. And then we're showing you
Keanu
another
Reeves is
new
a
gameplay video and having
he's
a
a
chat
rock
to
star in
Pavel,
this one,
our
is he?
senior gameplay designer, about just some of the tools of destruction that
they're
are
gonna
at
show
your
some of the
disposal
weapons.
in Night City.
All right, that's
So
sick.
let's get started. Street Kid, Nomad, or Corpo? Which will you pick first?
This kind of reminds me of like Mass Effect. The Mass Effect at the beginning had like the same choice where it was like Earther, Spacer, or something else, you know. Street Kid Corpo. Street Kid Corpo.
Well, who do we have here?
Grew up in Haywood. Whole street was my family. Neighbors helped each
So
other
obviously
out.
you got replayability
Nothing
just
of it.
from that.
I'm pleased to see
How much
you
it's gonna
have
affect the story.
roots.
Born here,
Like in Mass
live
Effect, it
here,
didn't really affect the
die
story
here.
that much. It changed a couple of quest options.
Hopping buildings, running away from badges. Iron tasted blood from a split lip.
Ow, fucker.
Got everybody fighting for a slice of the street.
Get the fuck out of Vista.
If you keep getting jumped, you find some stronger choopers.
That was a big woman. That was a huge
Do
bitch.
you want to spend the rest of your days blasting scabs? Or become
Scabs
a
is what it's
leader
Tarkov.
overnight?
We have arrived. The Major.
Ready to get your cherry popped? Yeah, come on.
My childhood? Let's see. Racing my bobber for the first time through the hills.
Racing his bobber.
Oh,
Sounds
and,
kind of lewd.
first kiss in the middle of a synth cornfield.
We nomads choose who to make our family. And choice forges strong bonds and a higher duty that stands solid as an old oak.
My family's in pieces. That's why I'm headed for Night City.
Interesting.
Makes you an outcast among outcasts.
Miss this, you know? Camaraderie.
This looks kind of like the
I saw it in your
country
heart the first
upbringing.
time we met. Know what I always liked about nomads? Your taste, no, hunger for freedom. Not easy to come by in Night City. Corp's got their grubby claws and everything.
Nice. Corpo.
I have those reports you asked for.
They were supposed to be ready yesterday.
There's TPS reports
The
supposed to be
world's
on my
going to
desk
tear us
yesterday.
apart when the word gets around.
Okay.
The world's never going to find out.
If I go down, you're going down with me. No! I'm not fucking joking.
This isn't
not
a
joking,
quest, V. But no way you're fucked, right? You're the one who fixes other bullshit.
If you're working Arasaka counter intel, you're always fucked.
Today, they got you to zero somebody. Tomorrow,
It looks like these.
somebody else to zero you.
I mean,
It's the
looks like
rules,
these.
Jack. Wanna be top? Gotta have some skin in the game.
What, starting life choices, whatever.
But you're not on top.
Might have a big difference
Bro,
in the game.
Arasaka is. And you're the pendeja who keeps him there. Work for yourself, live for yourself. That's the only way.
Well, at least 3 different playthroughs to see what the different options are, how they affect the game.
Philip, it is so good to see you again. It's actually been a while since I've had a chance to interview you about Cyberpunk. So I think for today, we'll start with a question that everybody wants to know. How does the path you pick affect your time in Night City?
It actually affects your time quite a lot throughout the whole game, but let's start at the beginning, because basically our game has 3 different starts depending on your life path. As an example, if you choose the street kid life path, you have lived most of your time in Night City. You know the streets, you know the gangs, you know the slang, you kind of know what's going on in the, let's say, lower life aspects of the city, which can of course give you lots of good opportunities also later on in the game. But if you start as a nomad, you actually used to be part of a nomad clan and a nomad family, because nomads that roam the deserts around Night City, that we call the Badlands, actually value their family above anything. But for one reason or another, you actually left that family behind, and now the beginning of the game for you will actually be how to get into Night City and how to make a new life there.
Interesting.
Then you can also choose to actually be a corpo and choose the corporate life path. And that basically means that you're not at home in the streets of Night City or in the deserts
it seems
of the
like
Badlands,
there's
but actually
true
inside the
factions.
Because you rose the corporate ladder.
And it will make a huge difference in your gameplay.
Which
That's
basically
awesome.
gives you the ability to sometimes, read between the lines, read people when they're trying to do business, which of course can give you many nice opportunities later on.
And probably give you some better high-level
the start of the
connections.
game. Can you
That could be good or
maybe
bad.
help
They could
people
end up fucking you over
understand
probably.
how this translates into the gameplay?
Yeah, so the thing is, we make Cyberpunk a real RPG, and part of that is that you can play your character from the start to the end. And of course, we have these life paths affecting the beginning of the game, but we wanted to make it so you have your life path opportunities throughout the whole game until the game is over. And as an example, we do that by giving you additional options in dialogues. So I can give you one specific example. And this is a mission where you have to steal a flathead robot from the Maelstrom gang. Basically, those Maelstromers stole that flathead before from a corporate transport. And the owner of that corporate transport, Meredith Stout, wants you to do something else. And this is an optional
Okay, we've seen that
objective.
before.
And even within that objective, we want to give you some options. So as an example, if you have a corporate life path, you basically know what Meredith Stout is really about. You can read between the lines, and you can get some additional options that maybe actually later enable you to do
make the quest
different thing
easier
with the
or
Maelstrom
more
gang.
difficult, but you'll
And
have more
if
information
you're a nomad,
that'll let you
know
make different
exactly
decisions.
some more details about how these Maelstromers would have even been able to steal a robot like that
That's
from
pretty
Meredith
sick.
Stout, who's part of the very powerful Militech Corporation.
So you have different
As a street
information
kid, we, as an
about
example,
different
don't
quests
give you a specific
based on
dialogue option
your
in that
starting
dialogue,
choice.
'cause as a
That's
street
pretty
kid,
sick.
You do not have a lot of experience dealing with higher up people like Meredith Stout. But we want to give you additional options that fit your life path very well. So later when you actually talk to the Maelstrom gang, one member of the gang offers you some illegal substance, but as a street kid, you actually know what this is about. You can talk some shop with him, and that might actually make that character like you a little bit more.
So Philip, I do have a couple of extra questions.
That's pretty
for you
sick,
based
dude.
on the video we just saw. And the first is about nomads. So the nomad life path, this starts in a place called the Badlands. Is this somewhere you get to visit even if you don't pick nomad to start with?
Yes, absolutely. So the
Yeah, I
thing
feel
is,
like
Night
it'd be
City
somewhere
is
where you could go
surrounded by this
regardless.
huge landscape that we
Kinda
call
be
the Badlands.
dumb if you just can't,
And
like,
you can go
explore,
there whenever you want. So as an example, if you,
you know,
actually
a section
do
of the
play
game
the
because you
nomad
didn't
life
start
path
there.
at
What do
the
you do with
start and
camera?
you are in the Badlands, you can even see Night City on the horizon.
Camera.
And we want to give you the option later in the game, if you want, you can just take your car and drive out of the city. You can
There we
go
go.
there whenever you want. The thing is, you might not want to, because the Badlands can be a pretty dangerous place at first, because time has not been very kind to the Badlands. There have been many
Yeah, I would think
wars
people
in
there
the
probably
past.
don't like
There's
city people.
global warming, so most people that do live out there don't really have another choice about it, or are nomads that love this life and are all about it and are very battle hardened. We of course also want to tell their stories, because we want to tell many different stories throughout the cyberpunk genre, which means that you will also find missions that lead you out in the Badlands or where you deal with the people living there.
So Philip, can you tell us a little bit more about the character Padre? He's the guy we see giving his business card to Street Kid V in the video. Who is this man?
Yeah, so Padre is actually one of the fixers in Night City. And fixers are people that work as intermediaries. So if someone who has a lot of money needs a problem solved, they go to a fixer. And a fixer
Middleman.
then finds people who can solve that problem. And these
Gotcha.
people are people like you, V, cyberpunks. Fixers are very territorial. So Padre specifically works from Haywood, which is where you as a street kid grew up in, so you already know him. You might have already seen another one of our fixers, who is called Dexter Deshawn,
Yep,
and
we've
he works
showed
in a
him
different
quite a
part
bit.
of the city. So
some other
specifically
videos.
Padre, you might know him as a street kid, but even if you played other life paths, you might sooner or later meet him because he's operating in Haywood, which is a pretty big place with many good jobs. So if you want to make some cash there, you will sooner or later deal with Padre.
Philip, thank you so much for joining us. Now, on my first playthrough, pretty sure I'm going to be picking Nomad, but for those watching, we would love to know what you'll be picking. So
Honestly, I'm not sure what I would pick.
Send us a tweet. Don't forget that
Probably
later
Nomad
in
or
this
Street Kid, one of
episode,
those two.
We're going to be showing you another new gameplay video and having a chat to Pavel,
We have a
our
laser
senior
sword.
gameplay designer, about just some of
That's
the
gonna
tools
be
of
my main.
destruction that will be at your disposal in Night City. But before that, let's talk about music, because music plays a huge part in bringing Night City to life. Now, in future episodes, we're going to talk about things like radio stations and even the original score.
Three
But
Dog.
today,
We're
gonna
gonna have
take a
Three
look
Dog in it.
behind the scenes
Gonna be an
at how
Easter egg for
Refused
Three Dog,
bringing Johnny
guaranteed.
Silverhand's band Samurai to life.
Keanu Reeves is gonna be a rock star, eh?
So it's kind of interesting to get into like the mindset of who is this character and what would they write about, or what's their agenda. It's interesting to try to like catch a language that's his and try to catch a language that's like a part of this game. There is a reason why we're here.
It was Piotr maybe who was a fan of the band.
He knew Refused and he knew my voice and he said, oh, that's a perfect voice for Johnny.
And that they wanted, I guess, a sound that was a bit contemporary from when Johnny's supposed to have had the band, because he's sort of like an anti-establishment kind of guy.
Gonna drag a corporal rat on stage, make him kneel, douse him with gas, then light him up.
So of course there are things that you can relate to, and like just like this outcast and this rebel that's fighting against like the corporals, and that's definitely something that's been a part of my life and a
So,
part
like,
of Refused's life.
We came out of the punk rock scene.
Become
of,
Keanu Reeves
Northern
at certain
Sweden.
points?
He's like the future version of us. You know? So I think it makes sense. I think it totally makes sense for us to be here
We're gonna
making
see
these
flashbacks
songs
of his
about
life.
him or for him. You know? So it's pretty cool.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah. No trills. But yeah, but like wide vibrato.
And then, I mean, just sort of build,
yeah,
slowly build sort of intensity.
We don't have a different mode than.
I'm not a musician, so I have no idea what you're talking
We've
about.
really worked on these songs, trying to make them as good as possible. But then they're not actually our songs.
It's interesting as a musician to play another musician, because that's essentially what we're doing. I mean, we're not here as Refused, we're here as Samurai. And I'm here as Johnny Silverhand, you know? So it's like the voice we're representing here is someone else.
We'll never fade away!
It's been a mind fuck.
He's passed the fuck out. Oh, mine was away.
I mean, the shouting in itself
Sounds
is
good.
just like second nature to me, because I've been doing this for a very long time. But then when someone comes in and says,
I'm happy with everything except
Someone.
for Azalin. Again, it's Azza. Azza.
God damn it, Asa!
Okay.
the shouting's great, but think of that accent, or think of that like enunciation. It's a bit weird because it's a very different way of singing when you're screaming like that, and it's hard to sort of
Swallowing some syllables there.
adjust your accent.
Oh yeah, just try it again.
So it's been a bit kind of frustrating.
I can see that.
It wasn't.
Like we're trying to have like.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great.
But I mean,
you know,
I
a
get it.
normal
I mean,
American
you have to
accent
make
when
the
you aren't an
illusion
American
that
and
this
trying to
character
portray that
that's
in a song
character of the
while
game
also
is
like
me,
screaming
like when I'm singing.
the
So
notes.
it makes sense.
Because that's
But yeah,
like the
it's
type
a
of
bit
song it is.
different to have someone.
I can see how that would be a little
telling you
difficult.
exactly how to announce these things, because I'm not used to. Usually people are just like give me a thumbs up, and then like you know you think the things like the rhythm, and you think about the pitch, and you think about all these things. But then someone comes in and like that word sounded weird. I'm like, what? No, that's how I sing. But so it's been a very a bit painful at times, but it's all right.
Sounds kind of like Kid Rock a little bit. It does. It kind of sounds like a Kid Rock song.
It's a very interesting thing to be part of. As a person that's not a gamer, I don't think I fully understand the impact that this might have. If people like these songs and if people are excited,
I mean,
then that's going to be great.
Go listen to the Doom 2016 soundtrack.
Trying to get this right, trying to get it to sound like, you know, like Samurai would sound, you know. So it's quite interesting. It's a very different way of making music, actually.
Interesting. Not really something that I necessarily care about as far as that goes, but
Samurai tracks available on streaming services: Chipping In, Never Fade Away, and The
that
Ballad
part kind of
Buck
felt like
Riders. But we're
filler
excited
for this.
to announce a fourth new song called A Like Supreme, which is coming to streaming services today. That means you can check it out once the show is over. Don't forget that if you're tuning in late, or if you just want to watch anything again, we will be uploading everything to our channel soon.
Yep.
Next up, Pavel and I are going to introduce you to some creative ways that you can solve problems in Night City.
Alright, this should be some of the good stuff here.
Hey V, I have a job for you.
Wakako
A
Okada.
client of mine is making an arms deal. He needs protection. It could get hot, very hot. The gun dealers
take off all
are
your clothes.
Maelstrom. Alas, nothing ever transpires as planned.
That sword's my main. I want it. I want it now.
For this.
Alright. See how we're modding the weapons. Dead. The fuck? I approve. Power weapons. That was a long pump on that shotgun. They're sitting there chilling at the bar and he's just coming in there with a assault rifle. Smart weapons. These look like SMGs. Looks almost like a Vector. Okay, well, you know, we got some wanted shit going on. Bullets just curving around shit. Nice. There we go. This is, yes, thermal katana. I want it. I want it now. Gonna be my main. Tell me we can block bullets and shit. Tell me we can go full Jedi. Oh my god. The Predator claws look sick. Gorilla arms? What? You just beat the shit out of stuff, huh? Oh. Arm projectiles. Nice. Dude, this shit looks sick.
Are you willing?
Yeah, I'm in.
The flesh and the spirit are willing. Neither are we. We got lots of little ways to kill some people.
Pavel, thank you so much
gear
for
looks,
joining me. Now, there was an awful lot in that video.
looks
right?
A+.
'Cause there's more than just guns.
Absolutely. We have melee weapons, we have ranged weapons, we have cyberware, we have
I want that
offensive
thermal
cyberware,
katana. I want it. I need it now.
cyberware, armor. We could talk for hours and hours about
Talk
this.
about it for hours.
I think just for today's episode,
You're
we
getting
should
me
keep it
extremely
simple
hard right
and
now.
Let's just talk about guns. Can you tell us the different types of guns that will be in the game?
So we have three distinct types of guns in our game. We have power weapons, we have tech weapons, and we have smart weapons. Now, power weapons are the most similar to contemporary weapons. one thing they can do, which normal weapons cannot,
Nice,
is
just mowing
ricochet
people down.
bullets off of
So I mean, that
surfaces.
didn't look like they
If
were
you
very
hit
bullet
somebody
spongy there,
hiding
but I mean,
behind
like, I wonder how
cover or
levels
hiding
play
behind
in
a
this
wall.
game.
Now, tech
Like,
weapons,
do
on the
weapons
other
have
hand,
levels?
use
Do you have
electromagnetic
skills
power
that
to
get leveled
propel
that change how much
fully metal
damage weapons
projectiles
do?
at extreme velocities. What that allows them to do is to punch through cover or punch through walls to
Okay.
hit somebody who's not even aware that you're there. Smart weapons use guided missile technology to actually track targets in real time. So you can hit somebody who's dodging, running away
That's
from
sick.
you, or you can hit somebody who's hiding behind cover.
So Pavel, Cyberpunk doesn't just contain FPS elements, right? It's also a fully fledged RPG. So can you tell us how you guys approached introducing those RPG elements into gunplay?
Yes.
So I can tell you one thing, Holly, it wasn't easy to merge those two elements together. Now, we've spent a considerable amount of time merging the RPG and FPP side of our game. What the player will experience is that V changes from a small-time mercenary
Nice.
to a legend in the world of Night City. V becomes more and more
Sounds
proficient in using weapons as the game progresses.
That looks so
they will
fucking
see
sick,
that
dude.
reload times become shorter.
I call them the Predator
the
Claws. I don't know what they're
accuracy
called,
of your
but
weapons
I'm calling them
grows.
Predator Claws. That's what they
You
are.
will have faster aiming time. You will move faster with your weapons. Everything becomes more in your control.
Faster
and that
ADS,
gives
move
you
speed.
more opportunities to defeat the biggest encounters
Probably better
that we've
accuracy,
designed for you.
etc. So typical
So I
RPG
have
stuff.
prepared a few extra questions for you, Pavel, if you're feeling up to it.
Of course.
Okay, well the first is going to be, how do you find more weapons in Night City? Like, where will
Probably
players be
killing people
looking
and
for
taking
them?
them.
So I expect the players to look everywhere for
Yes.
new and exciting weapons. You can, of course, buy weapons at vendor shops, and they will house an entire catalog of weaponry that you can get. However, the best weapons that you can find will be taken from enemies or
Exactly.
loot caches that we have everywhere in Night City. The weapons rarities range from common through uncommon up to rare and then legendary.
Typical
and
RPG.
As they go in rarity, they actually climb in
They
power.
don't. They give zero fucks
However,
about him in there with that
legendary
assault rifle.
weapons are very specific in such a way that they possess unique abilities that you will find on no
Okay.
other weapons in the game.
That's
The players
awesome. I
will
like that.
actually need to make some tough choices to find some legendary weapons, because maybe they need to choose whether to kill a person who holds the legendary weapons that they want.
They're already dead.
Or to spare them because they like them as a character.
So next question,
They're
let's
dead already,
talk
I'm taking
about
it.
weapon modifications. What mods can people give to their weapons in Night City?
So we have two types of modifications in the game. One of them would be modifications that we call attachments. So these would be scopes and silencers, and you can see them actually being attached to your weapon as you're playing the game. They give you statistics advantage, and they give you more opportunities in gameplay.
Typical
The
RPG
other
stuff.
part of mods would be software mods. Now these are basically small chips that you install in your weapon, and they actually change the statistics of the gun. They can give you damage, they can give you accuracy, or they can give you more fire rate. Some of those
Okay.
mods actually change the gunplay on a more fundamental level, so they can give you non-lethal rounds, biochemical rounds to tear through that armor
okay.
even faster.
So we have different
So I
types of
suppose for
ammunition
my
too.
Final
Okay.
question. Why don't you tell us about your favorite weapon then? Which is your favorite weapon so far in Night City?
Oh, there are so many weapons that it's hard to choose just one. But I can mention some manufacturers with their weapons that I absolutely adore. The first manufacturer would be Tsunami Defense Systems, who produces the sniper rifle Nekomata. That's a tech sniper rifle. That means that it can pierce through walls. So you can actually hit
Sick.
somebody who's hiding behind cover or who doesn't even know you're
Wonder if
there.
it's like a
Of
50
course,
cal
I
kind
also
of
like
rifle.
a close quarters approach. And what that needs is a shotgun. One of the shotguns that we have in the game is Budget Arms Carnage. Now that thing is cast from pure steel, and it weighs a ton.
I like how they show it, and
However,
then they
you can cut
change
a
to a different
person clean in half with it. Another shotgun that I absolutely love, it's for a more refined approach, I would say, is a smart
Refined
shotgun,
approach.
Kangtao Zhuo. That thing has 8 barrels, and that means
Holy
it
shit.
can track 8 targets independently. Now,
That is
killing an
sick.
entire room was never simpler.
Tag like
Pavel,
8
thank
people,
you so much for joining me.
and the bullets track them.
for having
That
I'm actually pretty interested to see what kind of weapons people discover
Right up
when
my
they
alley.
play Cyberpunk for themselves.
I like it.
Before we end episode 2, this is a reminder that those who wish to dive deeper into the lore can now pick up The World of Cyberpunk 2077. This is a brand new book created in collaboration with Dark Horse Books that will give you an extensive look at what makes Night City tick before jumping
bit of an
into the
echo
game
here.
this November. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for
Okay.
joining us. Don't forget
right.
that if you've missed anything or if you just want to watch again, we will be uploading everything to our channels shortly. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back with Night City Wire Episode 3 soon.
There we go. So yeah, there it was. This is episode 2. They showed a lot more of the stuff that I'm interested in this one. Most of the first episode, the only thing I kind of really showed that, I mean, they showed a trailer with some more gameplay stuff that I hadn't seen. But it was the like detective mode, the brain dance, I think is what it was called. The like detective mode of the game was kind of the only thing that really interested me in that one. They showed off some more gameplay in this one. They showed off weapons, and the weapon stuff sounds really cool. It sounds like there's a lot of diversity in weapons: snipers, SMGs, shotguns. There's melee, various types of melee. They got the predator claws, as I like to call it. We got thermal katanas. We got all kinds of shotguns, sniper rifles that have like super high, penetration rounds that can go through walls. You got weapons that can track position and bullets that can bend around stuff, and 8-barreled shotguns that have tracking. Dude, like, that sounds like they got some crazy stuff, and all the weapons can be modded and customizing in various different ways. Different types of ammunition. I think they had like biochemical rounds, non-lethal rounds, regular, standard bullet rounds. So the weapon diversity and the combat sounds like it's very thought out, and there's going to be a lot of different types of weapons and different ways, essentially, that you'll be able to play the game as far as weapons go, modding them, etc. And they said that legendary weapons in the game will not only be hard to get, but they will be unique. There will be certain properties and things that were only on those legendary weapons, and you can't get them like any other way, which I really like, because you want those like super weapons to feel super and be unique and be worth obtaining, which a lot of games really don't have that kind of stuff anymore. So the weapon diversity and the combat looks good. It didn't look like anything. One of the problems, or one of the things that I was worried about, I guess, was going to be like how bullet spongy are the enemies in the game. Like, is it going to be kind of like Destiny-ish kind of combat where you're just unloading on people all the time, and it takes forever, and it's going to be kind of more of that RPGs, or is the combat going to feel more realistic where shooting people in the head is lethal, and like kills them in 1 or 2 hits, depending on if they have armor on, helmets, and etc. So it looks like the combat's going to be more fast-paced, kind of lethal combat. So I'm happy about that. And then the other stuff they really talked about that I was interested in from this video was the starting path choices, the Nomad, the Street Kid, and the Corpo. And it sounds like those choices will have a lot of impact throughout the entirety of the game. It's not just where you start from and the connections you have there. It's going to vastly change how even certain side quests happen. They were talking about how in one side quest where you're doing something for this woman who has corporate connections, depending on your starting choice, you will know different things. If you were a corporate person, you'll know more about her personally. If you are a nomad, you'll know more about how these bad guys stole the equipment from them and how they could have got it in and out of the city, etc., etc. So the life choice, the starting choice of what, faction you're a part of will make a big difference. So that very much is interesting to me, and it just shows that they're also really thinking about replayability in this game. It sounds like just that right there, you're going to have 3 different playthroughs, at least, to see how the different things pan out and how it changes the different quests. And then the other kind of big thing they got into was like the music and going through that, and that didn't, whatever. I'm not, that isn't something that really tickled my fancy. But this episode definitely has me more hyped for the game. After seeing some more of the combat and the weapons, and more of the life choices and stuff like that, I'm definitely much more inclined to go ahead and pre-order the game. One of the things that I had said is I wanted to kind of hold off to see the game a little bit more, but I'm definitely more inclined to go ahead and just pre-order the game, on Steam when it comes out in November. So yeah, I'm very excited. I want to see what kind of more RPG-ish elements they're gonna have in the game. As I don't know. I don't know really how to like word it. I guess what kind of I guess like are there going to be skills? How does your character level up? How does it affect? What kind of stats are there in the game, and how does that affect? Is it going to be kind of like a D&D-ish kind of stat system where you level up your health and your strength and dexterity and those change things, or is it going to be a different kind of level up system altogether? I'm curious to see exactly how that level up system in the game is going to work, and how it changes your style of game, and how if there's going to be a skill system in the game, and is the skill system level up based, or is the skill system based on completing quests, purchasing things? Is it going to be based on like the mod, upgrading your character's mods that they showed in the first video, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that was episode 2. They said they're going to have episode 3 out soon. This one was definitely better than the first one, in my opinion. It showed a lot more stuff that I'm interested in. Looking forward to some more information and seeing what else they're going to show us. And like I said, I'm definitely more inclined to just go ahead and grab the game now. I'm very much more looking forward to it after this. So there it is, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for checking out the video. And we'll see you when episode 3 comes out.